Yay! Here we are.
We are.
And there's nobody here.
Well, hi, everybody. Well, think about the replay, Cleo.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for coming for the replay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cleo the Seer, and I'm here with my sister today, and this is my first live, and there's nobody on here yet, and that's just fine because who knows what's going to happen here. And we're talking political things that are going on in the world today, and uh, Colleen the Cool Crone is a psychic and a medium and a tarot reader and a astrologer and a fairyologist. She just does it all. So on my first show that I ever did on here, hi you guys, hey everybody, I'm so glad some people showed up.
Oh, look at they're filling right in. That's great.
And my very first show was with Colleen, and it's been over a year ago now. And so I just thought, since this is my first live from my channel, that I should have her on. Like I said, she's my sister, and we definitely connect on a psychic level, and she is just so helpful for me. So anyway, we're going to be doing political questions. Hey, everybody. Hi, C. Rose, Connie B. Book Bewitched, my favorite. Sarah, Gemstone Rhapsody, Lisa Keller. Oh, wow. A whole bunch of people showed up. Thank you. I really didn't expect anybody to show up because I've never done this before.
And we also have Janet P. and Butterflies Are Free and Julie V. 1112 above there. And I think you already said C. Rose and Connie B. So I just want to make sure that those ladies who are here very first thing got noticed.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Wow, there's something more. Yay. Thank you, guys. Thank you very, very much for coming on. That's great. Yay.
So if you have any political questions, please post them and I will get to them. We're trying to keep it just political within the United States. So, things are going on with Biden and Harris, and then also with 45 and the GOP convention coming up here soon. But the biggest thing right now is all these people getting so worked up about Biden stepping down and having somebody else come into the picture. Now, I have been getting numerous hits about what could happen here, and I tell you, nothing is set in stone. I mean, I know that everybody wants Biden to be the running person. He wants to. And I see that he probably is. However, it could also be Kamala Harris. But I mean, everybody's going to be weighing in about who has the best chance. I really think that Biden has the best chance of winning. On the other hand, okay, I had a crazy idea. I got a real crazy idea. What would happen if it became instead of Biden Harris, it became Harris Biden? Could Kamala Harris run for president and have Joe Biden be her vice president? And it's such a crazy idea, and obviously never happened before. But my guides have thrown that out. They're not saying that that's necessarily what's going to happen. They're saying that this could happen, and this would be it would not be a bad thing. And by the way, they've also told me that somewhere down the road, Kamala Harris will be the president, and that they see that she is going to be an excellent, excellent president. So
a beloved president. They're gonna really fight her tooth and nail when she's in there because she's so law and order, and she's the former prosecutor. But in hindsight, and eventually during her term, she will be beloved, like a Kennedy thing, beloving. Like they will love her.
Well, and just think about it. If she was to run, if she replaced Joe Biden right now, she would have the black vote, the Latino vote, the women's vote. Um,
A lot of the youth vote.
oh, and yeah, a lot of the youth vote and the independents,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're all looking for something different. This would be different, but she would be doing the same policies that Joe does. It's just that she's younger and she's a little more vibrant, and so yeah, it could, if something like that, I see that as a real win-win. But then again, it's very unconventional that a president would step down and then all of a sudden go back into being a vice president, which he's done twice already. But anything with, if Joe or her, they have to win. And one way that can happen is by all your support, as well as donating to the cause, donating to the Democratic Party, because they need the money. I've already donated, and I will donate more. Um, I'm not rolling in dough, but I gave my little bit of a contribution, and we just really, really need a Democratic. We need Democrat in the White House, as well as we really need to win the House and the Senate. Now, I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but now all of a sudden Donald Trump is stepping down from the Project 2025. And he's claiming that he's actually, it's such a lie. He is actually saying he doesn't really know anything about it. He does. That's what he says. I don't know. Donald Trump says, I don't know anything about Project 2025. And so, that's a lie. And everything that's happening with the Supreme Court and all these things are just absolutely that it's so detrimental to the country. That Project 2025 is nothing anybody wants to even get close to. It would be the end of democracy. And the same with just Trump in general. Let's say he didn't know anything. He still would ruin the country if he became president. Now, yeah. I do see, oh boy, I just lost my train of thought there for a minute. Well, with the conventions, oh boy, you said yeah, and all of a sudden it went poof.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. It shouldn't do that. I'll tell you guys right now, I'm a little wound up. I'm really wound up about this because it's such a serious, different kind of an election. I mean, we've never had an election that was, it was, for one candidate or the other, it wasn't a threat to our democracy. And that's what this is right now. It's a total threat to our democracy. And I just am so floored that people are talking about Biden being too old and not being the same guy he was in 2020 and being 81. But they don't talk about, why aren't we talking about Trump, who is a convicted felon, who is a liar, who is a traitor, who is an insurrectionist, who is, he thinks it's real cute, all these things that he's doing in the court to turn things around, that he's got control of the Supreme Court. I mean, and he's an adulterer, and I think, if you remember going way back, there was something before it came down to E.J. Carroll, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, her and Stormy Daniels. There was 26, maybe 27 other women that had talked about.
Yeah, that's right.
That he's just a womanizer. He doesn't care about women. He doesn't care about our rights. He doesn't, the abortion thing. I don't know why he thought that was such a great idea, but it wasn't a great idea. but now it's, we're getting into not just abortion, but women's rights, equal rights, gay rights, human rights, and it all stems from, Donald Trump takes credit for turning that around, and it's just not a good thing. Biden and Harris together are going to turn all of that around once they're in office.
One of the things that I saw that was posted by a couple different people, including I think it might have originated with Midas Touch, and then I think Linda G reposted it. But part of the anti-Biden noise, or the lack of noise by media about good things for Biden and only saying good things about Trump, is the change in ownership at the heads of most of the media outlets. So you have CNN, whose CEO is a Trump donor, ABC, whose CEO is a Trump donor, CBS, same thing, NBC, same thing, MSNBC, same thing. And then you have Washington Post, who's Jeff Bezos. I don't know how you explain that, because I thought that he hated Trump. But then the Wall Street Journal owner, Rupert Murdoch, obviously basically a Trump supporter. And the New York Times, who I have to announce, everybody, I just canceled my subscription to. The CEO of the New York Times is a Trump donor. So this explains a lot about why they don't go after Trump and they do go after Biden. And that has to be changed. That
Wow.
has to be changed. Isn't
all
that
all the major networks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I subscribed to Al Jazeera because they do give you worldwide news and they do give you U.S. politics and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, so, I mean, I only used the New York Times just because they gave us a broad band of headlines, but that it was just a step too far after a while. I'm just like, no, I can't anymore.
Well, this explains to me now why the all the polls are just so cattywampus. Why would there be all these people that want Trump over Biden when he's the felonies? I mean, that alone should have. You can't have a convicted felon be president. I mean, it's just crazy. I know that there's supposedly no law or rule that says you can't, but the rest of the world is looking at this going, oh my God, are they going to vote that guy in again?
Yeah. And
I mean,
there was something, no, it just flew out of my brain. Okay, never mind. It flew out of my brain. Sorry. I guess it's catching.
and I mean, when Biden was asked about the polls and stuff, he just said, I just don't think they're correct.
I remembered what I was going to say. So knowing that Trump cheated in the first election, cheated in the election he lost, and is cheating now, my reading of this about all of the CEOs being Trump donors, who needs Russia when you have all of those CEOs doing their work?
Well, you have that in Russia as well. You can add that to the mix.
Yes,
so
that's
really,
right.
Biden's got every single thing working against him, and then along with his age. I mean, I heard one guy just last night say, well, we don't care what Biden did. We care what he's going to do. And how can he do anything when he's not competent? And I'm like, what in the hell are you talking about? Let's talk about what Biden has done. I mean, he has raised the country out of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
He has raised the stock market. He has brought down prescription prices, which will continue to be dropped down once he gets back in again. He is going to increase Social Security over and above COLA. He will. Oh, brother, there's just so many different things.
Jobs. They just
jobs. Yes.
Yeah, 206,000 more jobs were created last month, bringing it to 15.7 million jobs that have been created during his administration. Think
Yeah,
about that.
he is just, he's kicking ass. I mean,
He's
it just
kicking ass. He
it just
really is. He's going to go down in history as the most effective president the United States has ever had. He just is. I mean, the stuff that he's doing, they did like Roosevelt tried to do, and Roosevelt did a lot, a
yeah,
lot.
yes.
But, Biden has taken that and said, okay, and I'm going to up you by 206,000 jobs like every other month. Like every month he's putting this in. It's crazy. He's amazing. He's amazingly effective. Amazingly effective.
Yeah, a couple other things that he has done is, besides the job. What did you say the jobs were?
Oh, let me go back to it.
I've got 13.5 million jobs, and
15.7 million jobs
okay.
as of July 5th.
Oh, okay. This was probably a few days before that.
Yeah. The jobs report comes out. I don't know if it's every month. I think like every month. And
And wages are outpacing inflation.
yep.
The stock market is in a record high territory,
Mm-hmm.
and that just keeps happening.
Mm-hmm.
Most small businesses created in U.S. history. Did everybody know that? Hey, I know some businesses went out of business during the pandemic, but now they're coming back up.
Mm-hmm.
Unemployment under 4% for 19 months in a row, which is a 60-year low.
It's incredible.
Black unemployment rates at a record low at 5%. Highest labor participation in 20 years. And by the way, I'm getting this from Linda G's channel, and she talked about this, and she she made up this whole list. And thank you, Linda G. I hope you don't mind if I use this. He had a 1.8 trillion deficit reduction, reversing the Trump's 3.8 trillion disaster is what he left us with when he left office. He had 3.8 trillion dollars in debt, and Biden has done 1.8 trillion in reductions of that. I mean, that all these other things are happening along with those kind of things going.
And remember when he was trying to get into the White House that the Trump administration did not cooperate with them at all. They did not get into the White House proper until after January 20th. I mean, he had decimated most of the federal agencies. They were not staffed. He didn't have actual directors for most of his cabinet positions, and so their staff and all the agencies that reported to them were just kind of hulled out, like they were just like shadows. They just didn't have anything. Like that's just not just unacceptable, that's just awful. That's just
Yeah.
someone who is trying to really subvert the power of our country.
So he's also did the Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which capped insulin at $35.
Yep.
He passed the Protecting America's First Responders Act of 2021. He passed the infrastructure bill. He
Yeah.
passed the American Rescue Plan. He passed the COVID relief bill. He passed the Chips and Science Act. He passed the gun reform. He passed the PACT Act for veterans. He passed the Respect for Marriage Act. He rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. I mean, this guy, I know he's old, and maybe he doesn't come across as vigorous as he did 4 years ago, but he is just moving it, and he's got more planned, and it's just, he's out for the people. Trump is out for himself and for revenge and retribution against the Department of Justice. He wants to eliminate so many huge departments that make, Department of Education, all kinds of things that just are absolutely a necessity. He also wants to, he still wants to claim that climate change doesn't mean anything. He's got a lot of oil companies behind him. And so he wants to keep the oil going. He wants to keep the climate screwed up. He's not for electric anything, but he was curious about electric boats and sharks.
Yeah.
I don't know what that meant, other than he was just trying to throw something in about electric boats, how dangerous that could be. What is he talking about? He doesn't know what he's talking about. And and he's claims that he would do a cognitive test. And I wish they would, because I know if they had somebody that was not a Republican or a mega person do it, they would find that he is on the edge of dementia. Joe
Trump?
Biden is not.
Yeah.
Joe Biden does not have a disorder. He does not have dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. He has the natural things that happen to people when they get old, and 81 is getting up there.
Yeah. Yeah, you slow down. You basically slow down. Things slow down.
Yeah.
But he still rides a bike. He still goes out and walks and does things, and he's active.
Does. He's still riding a bike. That's kind of scary. Joe, you don't need to overdo it.
Well, but that encourages good sense of balance and things like that, and that's the kind of thing that kind of falls away as you get older. So, I mean, I think it's good that he's exercising and doing stuff like that. But he's yeah, I listened to a podcast that they were interviewing I think he was a psychiatrist. I want to say that he was a psychiatrist because he was someone who could diagnose, and he had done a show, or he has his own podcast that he did when Trump first got into office, and he did an analysis of the behaviors that led him to believe that Trump was in dementia, not just the early stages, but he was in dementia. That was in 2016, I guess. And now he was doing kind of, I mean, all the way along, I guess he's been doing updates, but he went through a checklist of, like, I think there was 10 or 12 symptoms that if people have quite a few of those, then you're like, okay, you're heading into decline, and we need to do something about this. Maybe we need to do, I don't know, brain exercises, or maybe there's a medication. I'm not sure, but Trump ticked every single one now. And he's like, yeah, I can see. And what this guy was saying is that Trump really has bad ADHD, and that he probably should be taking Adderall. He probably should be medicated, but under a doctor's supervision, not just taking it for fun. He should be using it for focus. I mean, the fact that he couldn't read his daily briefings in the White House, that the guy said that's partially the dementia, but partially that's ADHD too. Like, he just can't focus for any period of time. And if he was prescribed Adderall, he probably should have taken it the way it was prescribed, and it would help him. But it's just, clear that the guy is just kind of a bag of hammers at this point. He's just awful.
What was amazing to me is this is the same stuff we talked about in 2016, 2017, yes. 2018, 2019. And then he comes back around, and we're numb to it. We've heard so much from Trump for for 8 years, basically.
Yeah.
And that even throughout Biden's administration, that, Trump is constantly in the news, and even with the negative publicity, he somehow gains support, which is just really frightening to me, that people are so bent on supporting him. And I mean, in the beginning, when they supported him, it was just kind of like, yeah, because stupid people would say stuff like, he talks to us. I'm thinking, no, he uses you. He could care less about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that has not changed a bit. And the fact that he wants to be a dictator, he wants to be king, He has created this stuff with the Supreme Court to say that he has blanket immunity. And when you first read that, it sounds like, well, he's got immunity, but only for stuff in when that's presidential, that has to do with his job and not him personally. But then you keep reading through it, and it's much more than that. They have given any president blanket immunity. I think that Biden should take full advantage of that and use it however it could help him. But not, Biden will never want to be king. Biden wants all people to be empowered.
Yeah. Now, what if Biden could use that immunity thing to pull people off of the Supreme Court and replace them with other justices? Wouldn't that burn their butts?
I see that happening, and this is another reason why I really think Biden will be the next president, and I really think that the House and the Senate will be held by Democrats, is because I see into the future of what is happening, and just does not fit with the Trump administration. So,
No.
A lot of things are going to change in the Supreme Court, and a lot of things are going to change with, that a felon should not be able to run for president.
Yeah.
But we just never thought, our forefathers never thought in a million years that a felon would ever get that far.
Well, and I don't know how many laws were even written at the time of the Constitution and all of that. I mean, I think they're focusing on just forming the country. And I think a lot of the laws came later, and they still didn't think about that because it was unfathomable. They were just people had a lot more adherence to social norms, social protocols, niceties, courtesies. I mean, to be a gentleman, to be a lady was really that was your honor, and you wanted to hold on to your honor, and somehow that has slid away. I think Studio 54 had a lot to do with that, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, so T. Lynn says, can I put this up here?
Yeah.
There we go. See, I'm new to this. Just curious, if you see 45 admitting to some of his dirty deeds publicly, diminishing cognitive abilities, I can see a time he forgets and just blurts things he intended to hide. I see that kind of thing happen. Do I see him admitting to anything? Absolutely not.
But he's already done it. He's already done it. When he's talking to, I mean, Midas Touch has pointed this out. There are a ton of times where he just confesses to crimes.
Oh, inadvertently. I mean,
no, but he admits it. He's just like, yeah, sure, I did that. I mean, the thing with the documents. Think of how many times he said, yeah, I took them. I was entitled to take them, but I took them, and I whatever he did, I can't remember the word of making them non-confidential and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
He's done it.
They're my documents.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're right about that.
Yeah.
In that context, I was thinking about all the lies. Would he ever admit to anything? No, he will not ever admit to anything that way. But yeah, what you're talking about, like the documents, those are my documents.
Yeah. And his declined cognitive abilities also tends to make him just talk about stuff, and he doesn't realize that he is saying things out loud, and he is confessing to these crimes. It isn't, sometimes he's bragging. I mean, the documents thing, he's bragging about stuff.
Yeah.
The immunity, I mean, he knew the way he and his attorney and the Supreme Court worked hand in hand. That was a done deal from the word go. I mean, the Supreme Court, if they had no idea about it, they never would have postponed it and dragged their feet like they did. I'm thinking they knew from the get-go that this is what Trump wanted him to do. So somehow there was a middleman, there was somebody who was making all these connections, and Alito and Thomas just said, oh, yep, we'll do that, and it would just serve their asses right if Biden said, okay, so you lied during your congressional hearings, you're out. because he could do
Well,
that.
and I tell you, all those Republicans that currently are supporting Trump in a lie, supporting Trump in the 2020
Mhm,
stolen election, those people eventually are going to have to answer for what they did. But
mhm.
it won't come up until after the election, and it won't come up until the Democrats do what they're going to do. And it's really important that we come out Democrat all the way around to stop this possible uh, fall of democracy. So Lisa Keller said, "How long do you both think Trump has had dementia? Has he been diagnosed by a doctor?" I agree with you that he does. I say it goes back to 2016. I mean, he
Yeah, I
would just
think,
do goofy things then.
yeah,
Um,
I
my
agree.
dad, my dad had dementia.
Yep.
And it went on for probably up to 15 years before he finally got been hospitalized and diagnosed.
Mhm.
Because you can, people with dementia, especially if they're pretty smart in the first place, not Trump, but with my dad, I mean, he would say things and you're like, boy, that's unusual. He never he never used to say stuff like that
Yeah.
before. Um, but it was just little things, and so plus you can't approach somebody with dementia and say, I think you got dementia.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, they're like, yeah, you can go to hell. So anyway, I think he's had it since 2016. I think it can go on for quite a while before you become so incapacitated that everybody sees, yeah, there's something going on here and this person needs help.
I think that people around him have known probably since they were in the White House with him. Anybody who went into the White House with him, who was part of his old posse, I think they really knew and they cared. They took care of him and they shielded him from it being shown to the public too much. I think it was pretty bad back then because he got he he it's just the way he behaved with things and them letting it go. It was just, I don't know, I think it was awfully hard for them to say no to him, but at the same time I think they protected him because I know I've when listening to Michael Cohen, he said that the whole like diaper thing, that actually started when he was way back when he was doing The Apprentice. So he has had those kinds of problems and people around him really literally caring for him bodily since whenever The Apprentice was on. When was that on?
Well, was it a couple of years before he ran for president?
I'm checking the years. The Apprentice was an American TV series. When was this? So not Celebrity Apprentice, The Apprentice. The Apprentice. Come on, just give me the dates. 2004 to 2017, but I don't think he was on the last few ones.
No, no. Remember, who do he have? Arnold
Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger. So from 2004 probably to at least 2014, somewhere in there, he started wearing diapers. So he was doing
Wow.
something like with illegal substances, I think, that caused him to lose the functions, below the waist, lose control over those functions. So I think in that period of time, I would assume that he had these minders, people who would keep him clean, people who would dress him, people who would fix his hair. But the people who had to keep him clean, I'm sure, saw it up close that he was losing it. And I'm sure they tried to hide it. So that's what I'm thinking. But another thing I wanted to say about the people who support him and believe in him and donate to him and just take every wild ass thing that he says and goes, "Oh, I just think that's great." This is the behavior of cult members.
Oh,
So
that's true.
it
Yeah.
turned into a cult pretty quickly once he was in the White House. I think leading up to that, he maybe made some sense for people and he wasn't so far out there on Pluto that people were going, "Well, that's strange." I mean, the whole thing with build the wall, and remember what everybody said about how he gave everybody permission to be racist and to, you know, have hate in their hearts and to, you know, put people down, even though they were being put down by Trump and they didn't know it. But I think that I think he has really developed the cult out of not his dementia but his craziness, because he also has that side of his personality that's just wildly just an egomaniac, and that kind of thing coupled with dementia makes like a Hitler, you know. That
Right, exactly. And so if he was to get in and do this little thing with democracy and ruin it and become an authoritarian king, that would fit in perfect with his diagnosis, and he would get away with it, and we would have a completely mentally ill, sick person running the country. I just wanted to mention this question that I have on here, and Colleen just basically answered it. But who are these people that speak highly of him? I don't think it is overwhelming. However, I do think that 45 and his dishonorable minions have been working towards this for a very long time. I totally agree with you.
mhm,
Totally
mhm.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
this whole thing's been coming on, and I also want Book Bewitched has something here about the Project 2025. Um,
Mhm.
it started with Reagan, and that's
Yeah.
true. But
Well,
with Reagan, it was not so. Oh, it was not quite as crazy. But by the time it gets up to now, to you know, whenever they, you know, when they definitely zeroed in on that Trump could do this for him, then it just got overwhelmingly crazy. I don't think Reagan ever wanted to have an authoritarian government. Um, and I think that Reagan, although I wasn't thrilled with him, the way, you know, we ran into some real big problems with mental health and stuff like that around the country because he stopped a bunch of programs that help
he
people
closed
with.
he closed all the mental hospitals.
Yeah, I mean that's insane.
Yeah, and he had mental problems himself. He
Well,
had
and
Alzheimer's.
yeah, but we
Yeah.
didn't know that until later. But
Oh, I mean,
that's the
it,
kind of thing that can happen. So
yeah.
the Project 2025 is probably the most dangerous thing. The current manifesto is the most dangerous thing to our democracy that I've ever heard of. I mean, I could not believe what I was reading. I could not believe that this is a group of people, a lot of people backing and supporting this and wanting Trump to be the one to do it. It's just
Well, yeah, I mean, when it started, it was originally started by the Heritage Foundation, and it was about 50 years ago. And they did start it sort of for Ronald Reagan. They wanted to help Reagan bring back conservative ideals in the United States. And they also, the Heritage Foundation is also aligned with some pretty heavy duty Christian evangelistic groups. And so the people who are really promoting this, they've had 50 years to refine it, you know. And Reagan, though, by the way, he adopted 2/3 of the handbook. So that's cuckoo that Reagan did so much, and we didn't really notice. I mean, we knew that Nancy was saying no to drugs, but we didn't notice all that other crap going on. We didn't have the internet then. We did not have the internet then. And we did have, I believe we still had free and fair journalism where people could say the real news. Like it wasn't completely, but I think that was probably the beginning of it being co opted into a propaganda machine, into like state TV. But
well, and now Trump is saying he's tried to distance himself from Project 2025, at least through the media, through whoever might be tuning in. If you know, because there was a lot of people that read into I'm talking about Republicans that
yep.
read into, and megas that
Mhm.
read into this and went, uh-oh, no, wait a minute, this, we don't like this. So now Trump says, oh, no, I don't even know what's in there. So I mean, he is just again lying. And no, that Project 2025 is exactly, that's his roadmap. That's exactly what he's got planned. He
Right.
does not care about the American people. He cares about power. He cares about money. And he cares about making sure all the rich and wealthy millionaires and billionaires get to keep as much money as they can, even though they're the ones that could pay those taxes and help out the country easier than everybody else.
Yeah.
So don't believe when Donald Trump says, "Oh, Project 2025, what is that?" I'm not even, you know,
And look at which news sources are reporting on that for Donald Trump. It's the same, the ones that the CEOs are all donors. They're doing his bidding. They're saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, cover up for him, cover up for him." So though all of those news organizations are gaslighting us by allowing Trump to come on there publicly as a platform and say, "Oh no, I don't know anything about Project 2025." And yet the people with Project 2025, they don't really care who is the spearhead for it. They just want it to happen. They want to create the Handmaid's Tale. That's exactly what they want to create. Exactly.
okay. So this question that I have from Sherry Freebury, do you see the Heritage Foundation ever losing its grip on American politics? It's not, the Democrats are not involved in this. It's all Republicans. So just keep that in mind. Since it's been around since Reagan, it'll probably continue to be around, unless, I don't know. That's a great question.
Well,
Because
here's the thing, Sherry, is that the world is changing. The world is definitely changing. With Pluto going into Aquarius, these kinds of policies are going to recede into the background. They're not going to be popular. They're not going to be a part of the zeitgeist. They're not going to be something that people are just dying to do, because they're not going to be thinking about that. They're going to be thinking about, the highest good of all. Let's help everybody, let's work with everyone, let's look at humanity as our brothers, not the enemy, not the other. So the attitudes in politics and just in society across the world are really changing. All these little pockets across the world that are rising up into authoritarianism are going to just kind of shrivel on the vine. Their economies are going to shrink. They're going to not have enough money. Their people are going to be hungry. And before you know it, they're going to be overthrown, and a better system will come into place probably when Pluto is in Aquarius. So, it's going to take some time. But in America, I think that time is coming faster. And I think it's coming pretty soon. I think this last decision by SCOTUS has just taken the appetite away from most people to go forward with any kind of so-called conservative agenda.
yeah,
Even Republicans who consider themselves conservative find this whole thing about Project 2025 highly distasteful, and they do not want to live in that world. They just don't. I don't think
perfect.
so.
I totally agree with you, Colleen. That's just that. I'm telling you, if things go the way I think they're going to go, okay, it's going to be Democrat down the line. However, it's not going to be easy to get there. So between now and then, you just really have to stay focused. And it's so easy, because every time you turn around, something comes up that you're just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this."
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe the Supreme Court can get away with this. Don't let your anger and your frustration get in, fog up your thinking, because they depend on that also. They depend on everybody to react emotionally. But what can you really do? You can vote for all Democrats. You can
Yeah.
give some money to the Democrats. It will all help. Um, there was something I meant to click on here. Well, just for fun, this one, and then
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
right after this one is this one. Springster came out.
It did.
Oh, you guys crack me up. And this one.
He reeks of something else as well, Lorraine.
So, oh, and this I did want to talk about. Three Cookie Girl. I love that. Harris Biden ticket. As much as I love both and will only vote blue, the reality of today's endemic misogyny and racism is against Harris for president. Perhaps 2028, but not now. Let me tell you, Three Cookie Girl, I definitely see Harris in 2028 again running and getting to be president, because I do think what's going to happen, and I threw this out early on the show about a possible Harris Biden ticket instead of Biden Harris. And I don't know if that's even possible, but I'm thinking if Biden's president, he can do anything he wants because the court said he could. But yeah, it probably won't go that way. I'm saying that this is stuff that my guys have thrown at me to think about how that could work. Now, I've seen some brief articles that said that right now, if they did that, Harris is ahead of Trump. Then I say, oh, no. Harris doesn't have a chance against Trump. So I can't go by the polls. I can't go by that nonsense, but just know that Harris is going to be playing such a huge part in the president's, in the White House. She's going to be the one in the end, not in the end, but sometime in the next 4 years, to help out and take over for Biden. She will be doing exactly what Biden's already doing, but she knows what that's all about. But I agree that there's an awful lot of things working against Kamala Harris. There's an awful lot of things working for her. I just see her being the one to bring in some of the Latino and Black voting and some gay issues, because she thinks like a normal human being, and so does Biden, but Trump does not. And I think also, I've got a lot of faith in the people in this country that they know what they want. They know what we've lived with forever, which was an open democracy.
Yeah.
They know that having a convicted felon as a president is just not, it's just unheard of, and it's not what they want. Also, we're all so tired of this chaos that came with Trump from 2016 on. It's just constantly chaotic, constant battling, name calling, finger pointing, firing, hiring, calling people names. I just hate that. I just hate that, putting people down like that. And we never saw this kind of thing before. That he's just so stupid and blunt about it, and it's just so dangerous to think that we have to work this hard to make sure that idiot does not get back in office. But apparently, he's got a lot of money behind him. He's got the little mega people. But even the Republicans, they're a little concerned too. Something may come up in the GOP convention coming up very soon, where a lot of those Republicans aren't sitting around thinking, oh, okay, he won the debate. He won a debate. That does not win the election. I really don't think that debate is going to change anything, except that it did highlight how much he lies. And here we're again talking about Biden and all, that he's too old. But, what about all the lies? What did Trump say to us that said, oh, he'd be good for the country? He said nothing like that. So anyway, I'm glad that the Three Cookie Girl brought this up, because, I agree. However, if it does come down to that, it could be, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could be that Biden could say, okay, let Kamala have it. The reason I don't think that is I think that Biden is the one between the two of them that Biden can win over Trump, where Kamala right now probably couldn't.
Yeah.
However, in the end, you will see such a huge change from 2024 to 2028 that you're automatically going to go for Kamala Harris, because she's going to, together, those two are going to turn the country around. We're going to enjoy a period where Trump becomes a fond memory.
Oh God, from your lips to God's ear. God, I hope that happens. Say,
Yeah.
we have a few people that we starred their comments, and I'd like to put up a couple of them. So
Okay.
let me just do this. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that up. Thank you, Lorraine. And then we have another one from a different Lorraine. She says, "How do we fix the control they have over mainstream media?" I have an answer for that.
Okay. Good.
Well, unless you line up all the people who run those media outlets and just shoot them in the head, you can't, because they're there, they're thinking what they're thinking. They're, probably pretty much 1 foot in the cult of Trump, and you can't change it. What you can do is stop watching them, stop reading them, and find other sources. Like I said at the top of the show, I canceled my New York Times subscription. I subscribe to Al Jazeera, and I'm trying out all sorts of different outlets. I do watch and listen to Midas Touch. I've signed up for their newsletter. I have subscribed to the Democracy Docket and Just Security. I rarely have time to read the whole damn thing, but I can look at the high points. And you just, media, that's one of the things that I think is going to change most profoundly and most quickly. Not only are they going to have to change a lot of laws to prevent this thing with Trump ever happening again, but I think we have to change the media. I think we have to go back to a free and fair media across social media too, where they do have to say the truth. They cannot just spread lies. They can't just be a filter for Alex Jones and his vitamin supplements. They have to tell the truth. And one way that we can force them into that is to just not give them any of our eyeballs. We just take away your eyeballs from anybody who's not telling the truth. And the list is pretty big. CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post. Those big major players, don't pay any attention to them. That will hurt them. That's what you do.
Okay. I had a good comment here from, I think it was Book Bewitched. Where did she go? I went back and forth between the start and the live, and then I lost my place. Here we go. Okay. I think it's called the Federalist Society, is it?
Yeah.
Has put out a manifest. It has escalated. Please, you all, watch Adam Mockler's deep dive with his downloadable summation. Read and tell your people, and have copies ready, please. That's from Book Bewitched. I don't know anything about that. I'm glad you mentioned it. I will, after I get done here, look up what that's all about. Do you know what it's about, Colleen?
I just know that the Federalist Society is the organization that always, and listen to me, I bought into the trash media too, that has for several decades has recommended to sitting presidents who they think should be going on the Supreme Court and who they think should be at on the federal courts and things like that, on the appeals courts and so on. So they're also people who are members of the Federalist Society happen to overlap with some of the people who are the sugar daddies to some of the justices for SCOTUS. That's what I know. So,
all right. Well, it sounds like something we all need to know more about. I don't know about it to really comment, but thank you for Colleen for what you added to that, and thank you, Book Bewitched, for mentioning that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who else here. And then Bobby Wish says, "We are here to spread truth and love. Don't deal in fear. Use facts. Adjust your crown, and remember who you are." Perfect. Thank you for that.
Actually, Book Bewitched, that's a very good message for the upcoming full moon. So that's a really good message. Thank you. Okay, so do you want to dive into? I mean, we did have a question about. It was actually about Mitch McConnell. Can I put it up?
Okay.
So, how is Mitch McConnell feeling after the recent SCOTUS rulings? I'm getting the sense that he may peace out soon, like my work here is done.
I agree. Yeah, I think he'll just be. He's becoming irrelevant, and and he is leaving eventually. I mean, fairly soon.
I think it's 2026. His term is up.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it's my work here is done. I just feel like that's where he's at. Um, Again, I mean, the Republicans still they have so many problems, and there's just they went on this road and this idea with Trump, and they're so afraid of him, and they're so afraid of what's happening to the Republican Party, and then every time Trump makes this little win about the immunity thing, and they're looking around like, oh well, now he's covered, he's going to get rid of all these things. No, no, that's not going to happen. um, and as a matter of fact, I do see some Supreme Court justices being impeached, but it won't work out well if we still have Republicans in the House and in the Senate. I mean, you're going to have some Republicans, but you want the majority to be Democrats, because that's the only way you can really get rid of some of these people in the court. That it's just amazing that they're just so blatant about it. And the guy that was flying the flag upside down and supporting the insurrection and supporting the lie about the 2020 election that was supposedly stolen. I mean, it's just unimaginable that a justice of the U.S. Supreme Court would be even thinking that way. These people are supposed to be, they're supposed to be judges. They're not supposed to be taking sides. They're supposed to be applying the law, and it's just, it's mind-boggling as well as sad. And just how in the hell did we get here? How did this happen? And it just seems like all of these really weird, off the mark, out of left field things came with Trump. And
Well, I think that the Project 2025 didn't start yesterday.
oh no, no, I'm not
And I
saying it
think
did.
I think their agenda for replacing all of the judges and replacing everybody down to dog catcher with some sort of, mindless Republican bot took 50 years, and they've got the deck really stacked against us at this point. So it isn't going to be just a clean sweep. If once Biden wins, there's going to have to be a lot of people removed. And now that Biden's been in for one term, he sees that, because there are probably still a few Trump holdouts within the White House even. I mean, the DOJ was just riddled with Trump loyalists that Merrick Garland has had to fight off. And that's a lot of why he has taken so long with things, is because he's had to be so careful not to let certain people know what they were doing until it was done. And SCOTUS, same thing. I mean, Clarence Thomas has been on the bench for how goddamn long? I mean, I think that Anita Hill thing happened. I think I was in high school when that happened. My God, he's just been there.
Wow.
He's just been there forever.
So
And
that
it's
was
like,
like 100 years ago, right?
yeah, about 100 years ago. And, so they've got all these nasty, smarmy, conservative weird Republican people in places of power. So it's going to take a minute to fix all of it, you know.
So, Peace Mama asked, do you think the Epstein case and Orange's disgusting actions will make more Republicans turn away? I don't. These Republicans, I mean, they have taken the playbook from Trump of once you lie, you stay with the lie, and once you decide that you are right and we all are wrong, and they won't even listen to anything about the Epstein thing. That means nothing to them. If they are not at least a little bit shook up about 34 felony charges, they could care less about Epstein.
And,
Um,
and
but
those people at that level, I think a lot of them would like to be Trump. They'd like to be in that position of
oh
power.
yeah,
They'd like to be there influencing everybody. So they're the weird cult members. They're the cult members who really think they could run it even better than Trump, which is really dangerous and really,
well,
really sick.
those are also the people that I see in the future having to answer for why did you support the lie? Why did you say this? What is your excuse as a grown adult who everybody knows we've already seen it's been to court, it's been everywhere. The election was not stolen. Who are, where did you come up with your facts? And why did you say that? Because they're all standing behind him like, hey, this whole thing about the influence that Trump has had over the Republican Party all during Biden's administration, telling them not to help him out, not to help Biden out to do something about the border, and then turn around and say, look, Biden's done nothing with the border. I
Right.
mean, their actions are absolutely criminal itself by doing that.
Do you think they'll ever be brought to heel? Do you think they'll ever be tried or convicted or indicted?
I do. I think that
Wow.
people are going to be questioned next year. I think that a lot of people, including these people like Jim Jordan
Oh
and
God, Jim Jordan. Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene,
Jim Comey. Yeah.
all of these
Matt
people
Gates. Yeah.
are going to
Oh,
have to answer for something, and
yeah.
their saving grace, they think, they believe that Trump is going to get in and they will be saved. Well, they thought that back in 2020 as well. It didn't happen. I don't think it's going to happen this time. I don't think Trump's going to be president. I don't think that he can save anybody. I don't think he can pardon anybody. Um, and why would the people that participated in the insurrection deserve to be pardoned? This is just craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. I see these people being in big trouble. I see a lot of people being in big trouble. On the other hand, one of the things the Democrats are going to want to do is calm things down.
Yeah.
It's just this chaos is exhausting for everybody.
Mhm.
It is. It's just totally
It is.
exhausting. You feel,
It is.
it's frustrating, and you feel like you can't do anything about it, and you can't. You're just an average citizen out here watching this go on, saying, how can this be? Somebody had just said, well, he's got dementia and he's a felon. Why are we even talking about him?
Yeah.
Good question.
Terrible. Well, what I was listening to some other people talking about this thing, and I can't remember. I think it was I want to say it was somebody from Midas Touch probably, but they were saying, oh yeah, it was they were interviewing Joyce Vance, and it was Midas Touch. It was one of the guys on Midas Touch, and she was saying, people do feel helpless and frustrated right now, but they can do something. And I was like, okay, I'm all ears. What can they do? And she was saying, you can go to your local Democratic Party and volunteer or become a poll worker. You can do the low level stuff like that, because right now there's a lot of MAGAs who are doing those things. And if you start doing something like working the polls or volunteering for the party, there's a lot of things that they need to be done so that they can concentrate on bigger things. Like you can write postcards to be sent out for people. Texting. I mean, I receive these texts. I know people are doing it, but they probably need more people to do it. And that's something that you can do to get involved. It doesn't take very much time. It doesn't take any skill or anything. Yeah, me too. But, artist Liz, one of the things you have to realize is that all those organizations are anti-Biden. They're all in the bag for Trump. I mean, look at the look on Dana Bash's face the whole debate. She just looked like she was either going in to have a root canal or, she'd just come out of the gynecologist. She did not look happy. She just looked like she wanted to be anywhere else on the planet but in that seat. And I think she had her marching orders. I think Jake Tapper did too. I mean, just horrific that the media in our country is so controlled and so controlling. I think they controlled the way Biden was lit. They controlled his microphone. They didn't have a great makeup artist on him. I mean, I just think
every single thing.
everything was just bad.
But artist Liz, you said exactly the way I felt too. Deeply saddened by the lack of loyalty after the debate. It just blows my mind. But I guess this is something we're supposed to all go through and see how it comes out in the end. On the other hand, somebody told us, I think it was Val from Dragonfly Crystals, said that a lot of this stuff that you've heard from other Democrats, they are being paid to do this. They are being paid to make these kind of statements and to bring up these kind of questions. By who, I don't know. I mean, I don't, whatever. But that's the kind of crap that's going on all the way around. All this interference, outside foreign country interference, as well as just plain lies and stuff. It's all people are being paid to make these kind of things. People are being paid to come up with crazy polls that we never know. Who are these people? Who did you poll? How many were Republicans? How many were Democrat? How many independents? You don't know. And the polls are just, they're just devastating to Biden. I mean, they have been that way the whole time. No matter what he's done, how much he has pulled us up and helped us out, he still gets these terrible poll numbers. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I just don't think that the people in this country are that stupid. I have faith in the citizens of the United States to do the right thing because they know that Biden has helped them. They know that they would be sitting much differently with you if it was handled by Trump all this time. I don't know what would be, it would just be horrible. We'd probably still be in a pandemic for one thing.
Yeah, half the country would be dead and the other half would be watching reruns of The Apprentice. That's all that they would allow on TV. They wouldn't allow news because it would all be state TV. They'd run Trump rallies nonstop, even though he was already in the White House. It would be horrible.
It would be. It's just craziness. So, I guess, one thing I started to get so upset about the whole thing. And then I thought, you know what, I've just got to calm down. And well, first of all, I had to step away from it for a moment and kind of allow my guides to tell me what was going on, because when I'm upset like that, I'm not getting the right message. I am not reacting in the right way. I have to stay a little more calmer about it and just see exactly what is going on, and because it restricts it, then I just fall into the same pattern of a lot of other people where you're getting angry. Don't get angry. Get even. No, don't get angry, because it affects your daily life. You start, causing little blockages within yourself when you feel like that. So, it is going to get better, but for a while, it's just this up and down, up and down, up and down. And you're like, when in the hell is it going to slow down? When is it? And it's not going to slow down until the election, and then we will know. And
Yeah.
like Linda G had said, she goes, God, I just wish it was November right now, because she sees that the Democrats are going to win. But she also sees all this chaos, which we all do, all the psychics on here, all this chaos between now and then. And I've said it, so many times, all the weirdness that's going to be coming up, all the surprises. It's just, it's going to be a little bit shocking. And just when you think things are like, okay, now we know what's going to happen, now something else happens. I am kind of looking forward to seeing what happens at the GOP convention, because
let's talk about that.
I've always seen that Nikki Haley plays a bigger role in it than it looks like, and even she has warned her fellow Republicans that she said, well, if Biden steps down and somebody else comes in, that's going to be a whole different thing. But and Biden, I don't think Biden is going to step down. But if he did, it would not be until way after the GOP convention, because he would like it to be a big surprise. But I don't see that happening. But I do see some things going on with Nikki Haley, and she keeps coming up in different readings with the tarot cards and stuff, where she's kind of looking like a queen, but I don't really know what part she's going to be playing here. And I really thought, so many different ideas were coming up about between the sentencing and the GOP convention. Well, now that you've removed the sentencing thing and pushed that out till September, that changes the whole thing. That's what I'm talking about with the chaotic energy. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen from day to day. Any minute, another thing could, another hammer could fall. And it's a crazy, crazy thing.
Yeah.
I love this.
So red wave trickle. Yeah. So I just wanted to comment back to artist Liz. Yeah, the Federalist Society didn't start Project 2025. The Heritage Foundation did, but it is Project 2025 is now supported by over 80 conservative organizations and think tanks, of which the Federalists are certainly one. But it's really managed by the Heritage Foundation. And I'm sure they've parsed out to other people various parts of it to flesh it out. But the Republican convention, can I talk about that for a minute?
Go ahead.
Okay, so
I'm sorry I think I got rid of one of your questions off of here. I didn't mean to do that.
All right. That's all right. That's right.
Okay.
So Republican convention, I did a chart for it in Milwaukee for noon on the first day that it runs. I don't even know if it's going to be open at noon. Maybe they don't open until 3:00 or something. But on that day, not great astrology. I just tell you, even on the full moon, which is the 21st of July, we have Mars and Uranus in conjunction. That is super explosive, dangerous energy. And I have felt this for a while, that there is something ominous and dangerous about the Republican convention. Now, it may not come to pass, it may be fine, but you get a bunch of MAGAs who most of them are, gun toting, card carrying, MAGA in a big room together. And then you throw in a little disagreement and it's, no bueno for everybody else who's there. And I do think with that Uranus in there that something bad could happen, and there could be some actual pushback to Trump being the de facto candidate. And the reason I say this is because Mars and Uranus are right next to a fixed star called Algol. And Algol, by the ancients, was defined as a leader loses his head.
Wow.
So either they lose their standing, their reputation, they literally lose their head, they go crazy, they get a head injury. I mean, something bad. So I have seen this all along, that the Republican convention is a very dangerous concoction of energies. The sun's not bad that day. The sun, yes, it is. It's in opposition to Pluto. Sorry, I misspoke. The sun is opposing to Pluto. Another indication that leaders are going to be challenged, and in a big way, like not just a little pushback, not just like Ted Cruz saying, I don't think he should be the candidate. It's not that. This is like a party of numerous, really well respected Republicans getting together and having some sort of petition or vote or something where they're saying, yeah, I don't want him as my candidate. And there's like a mutiny. There's like a big, that's what I'm thinking, because that Pluto opposition, the sun, that's no bueno. And then on that day, the first day of the convention, the moon is in Scorpio, directly opposite the whole thing of Mars and Uranus and Algol. So the moon in Scorpio is triggering, and Scorpio, come on, guys. And then the other thing is with Pluto, that's the ruler of Scorpio, the opposition with the moon and sun. And then the Scorpio moon is opposing the Mars and Uranus and Algol. Something bad's going to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt, or they might get hurt feelings, but it's on a broad scale. Now, the other piece of this is that this Mars Uranus conjunction that is so dangerous and explosive and unpredictable. I mean, it could be something completely different than what I'm saying because it's Uranus, but it sits on top of Trump's midheaven in his chart, which is his status in the world, his legacy, his image, his career. So is he going to lose his head, or is he going to lose his power? So,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
not bueno, not bueno. Mm-mm.
I wanted to say, Serenity Springs, thank you for posting this. It says, I'm a Biden supporter. However, I've seen an ad on YouTube for Biden's campaign where he says, I hope you are proud of me in the debate. Please send me money. Is his team tone deaf? This is a absolute BS.
It's a fake.
It's a total fake.
Yeah.
Total fake. Totally not true. And for anybody that sees something like this, that's not how they. I've seen their real ads to try to get money, which they need money, and everybody needs to support them if you can. If you could, and we're not talking a whole lot, $5, $10, $15.
Yeah.
But no, I am so glad you posted this, because yes, there is a bunch of fraudulent crap going on out there that will say this kind of stuff that looks just absolutely. When you see something that just is ridiculous,
I hope you were proud of me.
Yeah, no, Biden would never say that, or would he tell anybody to say that. That is put up there to make him look foolish, and he didn't do that. The Democrats did not do that. Somebody else did that to make him look foolish, to make him look like maybe he really is so old he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Yes, just thank you for posting that, because I'm glad. I've seen some other stuff that I thought, wow, that is just not true. God, I wish I could think. I saw it not too, just like in the last, either this morning or yesterday sometime, that was just as goofy as that, but it made it look like it was a real thing. And apparently that's what this did too. Makes it feel like it's a real thing. Do not contribute to something like that. Do not believe it. When you see something that doesn't make any sense like that, why would Biden say that? He's already said, I made a mistake. I didn't do well. And he's basically apologized for it. He just had a bad night, and it was unfortunate. However, as we all know, there's been so many people, so many other presidents that have done their first debates for their campaign, and they blew it also, and it still worked out for them. Obama being one.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't even count that thing that happened the other night as a debate, because Trump wasn't debating. He was just blabbing and lying. But if you do want to contribute to Joe Biden, he has a website that's just called joebiden.com. and you can go there and contribute. Act Blue also has a site for donations, and Act Blue is a reputable organization. But it's pretty easy if you do want to contribute to just type in joebiden.com. There you go. It's right there. But that's what I
Well,
want.
and almost everybody's videos, if you start watching their videos, an ad comes up and it'll be Kamala Harris or a Biden. Excuse me, Obama. I called him Biden. What the hell am I thinking? Anyway, Obama, yeah, and Biden as well. They will come out and ask you for that, but they'll never say something ridiculous. When you know that he's already apologized, he's already brought it up, and he continues to bring it up, saying, yes, I did a bad job that night. It was just a bad moment. It just happened. It's not a cognitive problem with me. It's not he said, there's no disorder. I had a bad night. I traveled, and then they want to know excuses. And then when you say excuses, well, I've been traveling a lot. Give me a break. The man had been through like 14 different time zones in the last, just a week or so before, traveling to France and Italy and California. And I mean, it just was all over the place. So, yeah, when you see something like that, you know it's ridiculous. Know that it's a fake, and they're going to continue to do that kind of thing to make it look like, see how crazy he really is. Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Don't buy it. All right. Okay. So did you want to talk about other stuff?
I think we're about at the end of it now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I told everybody in the beginning, this is my first live, and I thought it went really well.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we had 93 people
Yay.
show
Thank
up,
you.
and that's pretty good for first
Yes, it is.
time doing this. But I really enjoyed doing it, and I feel like I'm going to probably do some more.
Good. Good.
And maybe I'll do it all by myself. I don't know. I don't know if I'm that brave yet, but thank you guys so much for your input, for showing up, for contributing, and listening to what we have to say. Um, it just, this is crazy, chaotic times. And don't try not to worry, and try not to get angry, because that will interfere with your life. When you have anger for stuff like this, just eliminate that, and just know that there's a whole bunch of people out there that are thinking the way you do, thinking the good thoughts, and waiting for the Democrats to take over and turn things around. And
Mhm.
Colleen, thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. I had fun. It was great.
And so anyway, we'll see you all soon. Thanks again. Bye bye.
Bye. Mwah. Bye.